Maryam and Ali were walking home late at night, the streets unusually silent, as if the entire neighborhood was holding its breath. The dim yellow lights flickered nervously, casting distorted shadows on the cracked pavement. As they crossed the old narrow lane known for rumors and strange stories, they noticed an elderly woman sitting alone on a broken wooden bench. Her posture was hunched, her hair tangled like old cobwebs, and her eyes followed them with an unsettling intensity. When they got closer, she lifted her head slowly and spoke in a voice that sounded dry and hollow, like wind passing through an empty cave. "You shouldn't be here at night," she whispered. "This street belongs to the smiling shadow." Maryam felt a chill run down her spine, but Ali brushed it off and gave a forced laugh, telling Maryam not to take such things seriously. They continued walking, but Maryam could not shake the feeling that the woman's words carried truth. She looked back and saw the woman staring directly at her, her lips stretching into a slow, unnatural grin that seemed far too wide for a human face. As Maryam turned around in fear, she noticed something even worse, a tall shadow behind them, smiling on the wall, though no one was there to cast it. That night Maryam tried to distract herself, but the eerie smile of the old woman lingered in her mind, like a stain she couldn't wash away. She sat on her bed, the quiet hum of the fan being the only sound in the room. Suddenly, her laptop beeped and turned on by itself, lighting up the darkness. A single image appeared. The old woman's face, closer than before. Her eyes now pitch black, and her smile stretched impossibly far across her face, as if her skin were being pulled by invisible hooks. Terrified, Maryam slammed the laptop shut, but the echo of the image burned into her thoughts. She turned off the light and curled up, trying to sleep, but the room felt heavier, like someone else was breathing with her. Then she heard a whisper, soft, broken, and chilling right next to her ear. "Smile. Let me see you smile." Maryam sat up, heart pounding, and looked around. No one was there. She walked to a mirror and stared at her reflection. At first, it was normal. Then suddenly, her reflection's mouth twisted into a wide, horrifying grin, while Maryam's own face remained still. The reflection mouthed silent words that froze her blood. "I found you." The next morning, shaken and desperate for answers, Maryam met Ali at a small corner cafe, hoping he would understand her fear. Ali waved at her, but seemed unusually pale and unfocused. She sat down quickly and explained everything what she saw in the mirror. The whisper in her room, the disturbing photo on her laptop. Ali tried to laugh it off, but his shaky voice betrayed him. As Maryam spoke, Ali's eyes suddenly fixated on the wall behind her, widening in dread. Maryam slowly turned and saw a shadow cast on the wall, tall and twisted, its mouth stretched into the same terrifying grin. But nothing in the cafe could have cast such a shadow. When she looked back at Ali, he denied seeing anything, but his trembling hands told a different story. Then Ali confessed that he had experienced something to someone calling his name in the middle of the night. And when he looked outside his window, he saw a figure standing there. A figure that looked exactly like him, but smiling too widely. Maryam felt sick as the realization settled. The smiling shadow did not just follow one person. It chose more than one, and Ali might be next if he wasn't already taken. That night, Maryam locked her room door and stayed awake, terrified to close her eyes. Every sound in the house seemed amplified. The ticking clock, the rustling curtains, the faint hum of electricity. Then she heard it. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate, approaching her room with a rhythm that felt inhuman. She froze, pressing her back against the wall, her breath turning shallow. The footsteps grew louder until they stopped right outside her door. Silence thickened the air. Then she heard breathing deep, slow, hungry. Her phone buzzed violently in her hand. It was a message from Ali. "Don't open your door. It knows you're alone." Her heart pounded so hard she felt dizzy. The doorknob slowly twisted on its own, rattling softly, as a low whisper seeped through the cracks of the door. "Maryam, smile for me." She covered her mouth to stop herself from screaming. The whispers grew more desperate, like the creature was eager to see her expression. After a minute that felt like an eternity, the footsteps retreated. Maryam collapsed to the floor, trembling. She realized something horrifying. The creature wasn't just following her. It wanted something from her, something connected to her fear. The next day, unable to endure the terror any longer, Maryam dragged Ali back to the lane where they first encountered the old woman. Maybe she had answers. The daylight did little to comfort Maryam. The air felt heavy with a strange silence. When they reached the broken bench, they found something carved into the wood. "He smiles through us." Before they could react, the old woman appeared behind them, silent and emotionless. You shouldn't have returned, she said. Ali, anger mixed with fear, demanded answers. What is the smiling shadow? Why is it following us? The woman's expression darkened. It is a demon that steals faces, hides behind them, and spreads fear by wearing the smiles of the living. Once it chooses someone, it does not let go. Maryam's voice cracked as she asked how to stop it. The woman shook her head. You cannot stop him. Once he has smiled at you, you belong to him. Slowly, the woman's own face began to distort, cracking like old paint. Her smile stretched unnaturally, revealing rows of shadowy teeth. Maryam realized with horror that she wasn't he. A woman at all. She had been the shadow's puppet all along. Ali and Maryam ran without looking back, desperate to escape. They reached Ali's house, slammed the door shut, and collapsed inside. Ali clutched his head, trembling uncontrollably. He's inside. I can feel him, he whispered weakly. Maryam grabbed his shoulders, begging him to stay with her, but Ali's eyes suddenly rolled back, turning black as ink. His body twisted unnaturally, as if invisible hands were pulling at him from every direction. He chose me first, Ali said, in a distorted voice that wasn't his. Now he wants you. Maryam stumbled back, terrified. The lights flickered violently, and shadows crawled up the walls like living creatures. Suddenly, a long, dark arm, made entirely of shadow, rose from behind Ali, wrapping around his neck and pulling his head back. Ali screamed, his voice layered with the demon's growl. Maryam, he cried, tears streaming down his distorted face. Run! But she couldn't move. The shadow clutched Ali like a puppet, controlling him, breaking him. Then its voice echoed through the room. Smile with me. Maryam felt the temperature drop as the demon's attention shifted toward her. Knowing she was running out of time, Maryam dragged the half-conscious Ali into a car and drove to the only place she believed might help, the abandoned old church outside town, known for exorcism rituals. The building was falling apart, but the moment Maryam stepped inside, she felt a coldness that hinted at ancient things lurking in the shadows. She pulled Ali toward the altar, his body trembling uncontrollably. Dark veins spreading across his skin, as if corruption itself was crawling through him. Maryam scrambled through dusty shelves until she found a torn ritual book filled with symbols of protection and banishment. She drew a salt circle around Ali, hoping the demon would be held back. But as soon as she finished, Ali's eyes snapped open, pitch black and soulless. You cannot save him, the shadow growled through Ali's voice. He belongs to me. Maryam's tears fell as she screamed. Then, take me instead. For the first time, the shadow paused. The candles around them flickered violently. Ali's mouth twisted into a grotesque grin as the demon spoke through him. You offer yourself freely. Maryam nodded, her voice breaking. Just leave him. The darkness around her seemed to breathe. Then, the demon whispered one final demand. Smile for me. Maryam felt herself being pulled into a void of pure blackness, the world around her collapsing into cold silence. A tall, thin figure emerged from the dark, the smiling shadow, its face stretched into a monstrous grin. It circled her slowly, whispering in a voice that sounded like 1,000 echoes layered together. You are brave, and fear in the brave tastes the sweetest. Maryam forced herself to stand tall. Let Ali go, she said, her voice trembling. The creature touched her forehead, and she felt a cold wave flood through her body, twisting her thoughts, suffocating her identity. Then, everything went still. She awoke inside the church again. Ali lay on the floor, breathing normally, freed from the demon's grasp. But Maryam felt hollow, as if someone else were breathing inside her chest. Ali slowly opened his eyes and looked at her with relief until she turned her face toward him. Her smile stretched far too wide, too sharp, too wrong. Ali stumbled back in horror. Maryam, that's not you. Maryam tilted her head, her voice soft but echoing with darkness. He needed a new face. So I gave him mine. Her shadow on the wall twisted grotesquely, smiling even wider than she did. As the church lights flickered violently, Maryam stepped forward, her voice merging with the demon's. Don't be afraid, Ali. It's your turn to smile. The candles blew out. Darkness swallowed the room, and the smiling shadow lived again through her. The storm outside grew quieter, but inside the abandoned house, the darkness thickened as Mira realized she was no longer alone. The shadows that had followed her throughout the forest now circled her like silent hunters, waiting for a final command. She clutched the old locket she had found earlier, the one that belonged to the vanished children of the Blackwood family, and whispered their names with trembling lips, hoping the fragments of their memories would help her escape. But instead of protection, the air turned colder, and a tall, twisted figure emerged from the corner, its body long and broken, as if stitched from the nightmares of every soul the forest had ever claimed. Its face fell, hollow, and stretched shifted into the expression of a grieving mother. Then into the snarling spirit Myra had seen in the window the first night she arrived. As it moved closer, the walls began to pulse like a living creature trapping her inside the memory of what had happened years ago. The Blackwood mother had traded her humanity to keep her children's spirits alive, becoming a guardian of the forest. But the price was to feed the woods with the souls of anyone who entered without permission. Myra finally understood. She had been chosen from the moment she stepped into Blackwood, pulled into a curse she could not break. With the last of her strength, she tried to run, but the floor swallowed her footsteps, and the locket burned through her palm. The spirit leaned down, whispering, "You are home now," before the house exhaled a breath so cold it silenced her scream forever. When the sun finally rose, Blackwood Forest looked peaceful again, but a new shadow stood watching from the trees, waiting for its next visitor.